Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Her podcast, where we talk about real journeys, real growth, and the real you. All right, we are back in the Knowing God, Becoming You series, a space where we're learning who God is so we can become who we were created to be. I'm your girl, Pauline, and in this series, we've been grounding ourselves in the character of God. All right, just a brief recap. We've already talked about God's love. God is faithful. God is provider. God is healer. God is peace. And today we're stepping into something every woman needs, especially when she's growing, building, and deciding and leading. God is wisdom. Yes, God is wisdom. This episode is for the woman who overthinks, second guesses herself, feels decision fatigue, wants to do the right thing, not just the next thing, and desire alignment more than applause. Okay, so let's go deeper. What is wisdom? What does wisdom really mean? Let's look at James 1 in verse 5. It says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, and it will be given. Notice the verse doesn't say if you lack clarity, Google it, or if you lack clarity, chat GTP it. If you lack wisdom, poll everyone around you, ask your neighbor, ask your friend, call up your mama and ask. If you lack direction, rush into action. It's not saying that, right? It says, ask God. How often, when we need clarity, we need to make a decision, we need some answers, we run to other people. I'm not saying going to other people is wrong because let's be honest, God put people around us for us to connect, for us to get support, and we can ask them. But the thing is, just make sure that God is the first person you run to get to get the support you need, to get the wisdom that you need, because He's the one that's going to truly give you what you need because He knows you best. Let me just be clear. Wisdom is not intelligence. Wisdom is not information. Wisdom is not speed. Wisdom is God's perspective applied to real life, okay? Your life. So it's seeing things from heaven's viewpoint, not just your emotions, your fears, or your past. Now, I do want to preface that sometimes your past will give you some type of guidance, will give you some wisdom, because sometimes we get that from our own experience. But let's be honest, those experiences came from God. So He's pretty much implanting those nuggets of wisdom in your life as you go. Okay. God doesn't just have wisdom, God is wisdom, right? So when you ask for wisdom, you're not just asking for a formula, you're asking for alignment from His way of thinking. So I want you to think about that because a lot of times, um, when we go to other people to get, I guess, more clarity, we're asking them for their their way of thinking, right? And that's what we're going to get. We might not think we're asking them that specifically, but when we go to them, we're going to get their way of doing things. But when you go to prayer, you consult with the Spirit, you go to the scriptures, you're asking for God's His way of thinking and aligning things. All right, so why is decision making sometimes a struggle for us? Let's talk about the real reason decisions feel heavy sometimes. For one, fear of making the wrong choice, fear of wasting time, fear of disappointing others, fear of missing out, fear of regret. Maybe it's pressure to get it right the first time around and not having to repeat anything, the pressure to move fast, or maybe it's the pressure to keep up. So a lot of times you're not confused, you're just overwhelmed. And so when you're overwhelmed, you're listening to too many voices, too many opinions, too many expectations, too many timelines. So then your brain or your decision making start getting fatigued and cluttered and you feel like it's difficult. And when you listen to everything, you lose discernment. God's wisdom is often quiet, not chaotic. So when you start feeling like okay, I'm losing my footing here. Y'all know what I love to say. Go pray, go consult the Spirit, and read your scriptures because it's going to clear a lot of things up for you. Okay. So, the difference between wisdom and knowledge, this is key. Knowledge informs, wisdom directs. Okay. Because a lot of us were knowledgeable in things, but what we lack is the direction sometimes. So, wisdom is going to direct you. You can have knowledge and still make unwise decisions. You can still make unwise choices, right? You can be educated and still be misaligned. You can know the facts and still miss the timing. Wisdom answers questions like, is this the right time for me? Is this the right thing for me to be doing right now? Is this aligned with who God is shaping me to become? Will this bring peace or pressure? Is this God led or fear driven? God's wisdom doesn't just answer what, it answers when, why, and how. Okay, that's key. So, how God releases wisdom for us, God releases wisdom in ways we sometimes overlook, especially if you're not in your scriptures, especially if you're not praying, and especially if you're not consulting with the Spirit. But God will release wisdom through stillness. Wisdom requires quietness so you can hear God. I remember a few episodes ago, I talked about the hearing God, seeing, all of that, right? God releases wisdom through scriptures. That's why I always say, go to the scriptures because, baby, you will be struggling with something. You crack open that Bible and you start reading. You're like, oh my goodness. It's like God knew exactly what you came in here for, and He made sure you went directly to that story, to that verse, so you can get the answers, the clarity that you need. So, God often answers decisions through His word, through peace. God carries peace, not anxiety. And because God is within us, God is peace, we have access to that. Okay. Also, through alignment, when a decision fits your values, peace follows. Through counsel, not opinions, wise counsel. Sometimes we want to go seek advice from the people who gonna itch and scratch our ears. What's that saying they say? You know, you get information from the people who's gonna scratch your ears, basically tell you what you want to hear. Don't just seek counsel from people who's gonna just support whatever you say. Go to people who are wise and get wise counsel. Also through time. Some decisions don't need urgency, they need maturity. So over time, whatever you are seeking, you will get that clarity. Okay. If you feel rushed, pressured, or frantic, you have to pause. Go pray, go to the scriptures, and consult with the Spirit because wisdom is never in a hurry, and you're not going to get your responses. You're not going to get the clarity that you need rushing. All right. So let's look at the role of wisdom in your identity. Yeah, I know I love to talk about identity. Okay. So when you walk in wisdom, you trust yourself more because you are confident in who you're getting that wisdom from, God, right? You stop outsourcing decisions, you stop explaining yourself, you stop reacting emotionally, you stop operating from fear, and you stop chasing validation because everything, your decisions, your the validation, and all that stuff you're looking for is in the scriptures. You're going to be able to find everything that you need through prayer. Wisdom strengthens your identity, not confuse it anymore. So you begin to recognize that I don't need to decide today. I can decide tomorrow. I don't need to say yes right now. I can go pray about it. I can go read the scriptures to get advice and then come back to it. I don't need to prove myself because I've been in the scriptures and the scriptures have already validated me. The scriptures have already proved me. I know who I am. I know who God says I am. So I don't have to prove myself to anyone else because the only person that matters who I am is God. I don't need to rush and I don't need to keep up. Okay? Because we are all running our own race. So when wisdom gives you permission to move at God's pace, move. All right. So let's look at modeling God's wisdom as the next level, her woman. Okay. So to model God's wisdom, you don't need to be loud. You need to be grounded. You need to be anchored. Here's what wisdom looks like when you live it out. You pause before responding because you're not going to be rushing to say anything because wise people slow to speak, very slow to speak. So you pause before responding. Wisdom responds, it doesn't react. You ask better questions because not what will people think, but what does God think about this? You stop and, question, what would God think about this? What would be the best thing for me to do in this situation? And sometimes you're asking the individual better questions because sometimes the people will ask you questions, and if you're quick to respond, you won't really take the time to think, what are they truly asking? And then you can follow up with a clarifying question. Also, you consider long term impact, not just short term relief. Okay, baby. A wise person, you're going to stop and think before you eat that chocolate. This might put on an extra few pounds. This is not going to be healthy for me. So I know this is small, but I'm just giving you something basic. Because even in that, we got to make good decisions, right? So you consider long term impact. Should I take this job? How will it affect me long term? So you honor timing. Wisdom waits when waiting is wise. You choose alignment over approval. Wisdom isn't moving by pressure. You move based on what God says. And you let peace confirm your choices. A wise woman moves quietly but confidently. Because guess what? They get their peace from God and no one else. They get their wisdom from God and no one else. And it's easy to move confidently when you know all the character things that you're putting on. It's from God, right? When you're putting on the character of God, you're putting on all these things, you move more confidently. Let's look at some wise practices that we can do for the week that we can apply. Before making a decision, ask yourself these questions. Does this align with who God is shaping me into? Does this bring me peace or pressure? Am I choosing this from faith or fear? Can this wait without harm? Have I invited God into this decision or just informing Him? Mm. How many times we just inform God, hey, Lord, this is what I'm doing, all right? Please be with me while I do the thing I say I'm going to do. I'm laughing because I'm guilty of this sometimes. Wisdom often arrives in pauses. So we just got to make sure throughout the week, just pause and ask yourself these questions, okay? And make sure that whatever step you take, whatever action you take, whatever decision you make, that it is from God, all right? Okay, so here are some reflection questions. I got to leave you with some reflection questions, and I want you to sit with them for the week. All right. Where do I experience decision fatigue most? What decision am I rushing that may require wisdom, not urgency? Whose voice am I prioritizing over God's? And what would it look like to trust God's wisdom more than my timeline? Okay. Y'all, please sit with these questions because your girl have made so many unwise choices and have paid hefty prices from, right? One of them was trying to get a building. Instead of inviting God into my decision, I just informed him of what we were going to do. Okay. So I said, God, I want this building. This is what we're going to do. Lord, I did everything. And then it was after the fact. I was informing God the entire time. And then after the fact, when it was getting closer, I was getting scared and nervous. And here I go, talking about, oh, God, please be with me. God, please, 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 please. And by then it was too late because I didn't start with God from the jump. So let's just say I lost money. It was terrible, but I got through it. And now it's like, okay, God, I would love to do this, but let me see what you want. and to see if what I want aligns with you. So I hope that little story helps somebody. So let's let's talk to God first, y'all. Let's get in the habit of talking to God and not just make the plan, strategize, and then be like, all right, God, you can come in now. All right, my loves, as we close this episode, just remember this: you are becoming a woman led by wisdom, not by pressure. God is wisdom, and when you walk with Him, clarity will come. So just continue to walk with Him, continue to consult the Spirit, continue to stay in your scriptures. Okay. So, thank you so much for joining me on this series, Knowing God, Becoming You. Please share this episode with anyone you think might benefit from this, all right? The next episode, we're moving into something great. We're going to be talking about God is Father, healing identity and birth wounds, okay? So, look forward to that episode, and I look forward to connecting with you on that one. Until next time, keep enjoying the journey, keep growing, and keep being you and becoming the next level her. Okay? See you next time.